The white farmers in Louisiana, they're mad because people of color won't come work on their farms for $11 an hour in 100-degree heat for 10 plus hours a day. Let me run that back. White farmers are mad. The very farmers that voted Republican, okay, they voted for this, are mad that people of color won't come work on their farms for $11 an hour in 100-degree heat for 10 plus hours a day. Now you gotta be kidding me. Do they think we really looking for farm work?
This is the consequences when we chose the wrong direction. Oh my God. Yes. It is what it is. Make America great.
Hello family, and welcome back to my space. White farmers who once relied on immigrant labor to keep their farms running are facing a harsh reality. After the Trump's migration crackdown, many of the workers who toiled in the fields are now deported, and others are too afraid to show up to work. And as these farmers, they expected Black Americans to fill the void. But here is what Black Americans have to say about this. Then I'll come back with more commentary, all right? Let's dive into it.
So y'all remember when it was said that we taking all the black jobs? They really thought that we was going to be looking for black jobs, y'all. And I woke up this morning and I was scrolling through TikTok and I saw this guy made a video and I saved it to my favorite so you can go look for it. And he said he was pretending to be MAGA on one of those other apps. He said they were doing a live and the farmers were saying that they thought that the black people would be looking for jobs to work on their farms. Now you gotta be kidding me. Do they think we really looking for farm work? Do they not know that we are educated and we got degrees? And being a farm worker ain't even in the jobs categories that we be looking for. They really don't know how educated some of us are. They don't know how many degrees a lot of us have. They got to be really lost if they think that we want to come and work on their farms. They don't know that our parents and our grandparents growing up wouldn't even let us be outside if it wasn't no shade outside. Do they really think that we gonna work on a farm where ain't no shade trees at? I hate to disappoint y'all, baby, but you gonna have to get somebody else to do it, because we ain't working on nobody's farm. Never. The only way you gonna see black people working on a farm is if they own the farm, because we not working on nobody's farm as no workers. So I hate to disappoint y'all. If y'all thought those was black jobs that black people looking for, honey, you better think again, because black folks that I know got good jobs. We've had a black president, we had a black vice president, we got black senators, we got black congressmen, we got black CEOs, we got black doctors, we got black nurses, we got black psychiatrists, we got a lot of good black jobs. Now I don't know what y'all thought we was gonna be farm workers for. We don't even want to work in the fast food industry. Those jobs, we don't want those kind of jobs. So I hate to disappoint you MAGA people, but we don't do farm work. So get somebody else to do it.
Them farmers really thought we was going back to them fields. They really thought we was going back to them fields. You know what? My mother was the first generation on her mother's side not to be brought up on a plantation. Not to be brought up on a plantation. That's what I said. My grandfather had a third-grade education, but he left my mama 2 houses, property in the bank, property and money in the bank, with a third-grade education. And guess what? He worked in fields. My great-grandmother worked in fields and cut that cane just like a man. You hear me? And if you think that Eddie Lewis and Victoria C. Jones and all the rest of my ancestors bust their tail in them fields for us to go back to the fields, absolutely not. That's not progress. We're trying to heal from ancestral trauma. We're trying to heal from that. That ain't happening. That produce could rot in them fields before we go back to them fields. They need to let them know that.
Wait, you mean to tell me Americans don't want to pick lettuce for $2 an hour? No. Now the farmers are crying because they can't find any workers. Ain't that something? After you pushed out all of the immigrant workers who actually did the job, now you're standing around wondering why Chet and Kaylee won't come pick your cabbage in 100-degree weather for $4.75 and a Capri Sun? Y'all really thought folks were going to jump at the chance to break their backs for pennies on a dollar. But you know what's even funnier, y'all? Some of these farmers say the American workers they do get, they don't even last the whole damn day. One guy said somebody walked off by luck, and honestly, I support it. Listen, I wouldn't be out there picking strawberries and fighting bees and being dehydrated just so that farmer could sell those strawberries for $12.99 a box at Whole Foods. Negative. See, they've been telling you this lie for years. They took our jobs. Nah, Americans, you didn't want those jobs. You just didn't want them to have the jobs either. Now look at you, a field full of crops and not a soul to pick them. Next time, think twice before turning labor into a culture war. Cause now it's just you and your own damn tomatoes.
Hey, you know, one more thing about that farm thing. Those farmers complaining about how the Trump's trade war is hurting farms. And not just China, even though China no longer buys U.S. beef, that's gone to Brazil. They no longer buy U.S. soybeans. They don't buy a bunch of other agricultural products from us because they can source them elsewhere. And these farmers are all over these apps whining and crying that they didn't think it would hurt them. And please, Mr. Trump, I voted for you 3 times and all this kind of bootlicking kind of BS. The other thing about that is, like I said in my other video, excuse me, there's a particular relationship black people and farms in this country, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. The other thing is, do you remember during the Biden-Harris administration, their administration worked out a settlement with black farmers to pay them back pay for excluding them from bailout money that they were entitled to, and the money only went to white farmers. And so black farmers, that's the way it is in this country, had to sue to get their fair share. And after years of court wrangling in the courts and everything, it was finally settled and black farmers were going to get their due. And you know why they didn't get their due? Because white farmers sued to block the government settlement that they had made with black farmers. And white farmers sued saying that the white farmers, were being discriminated against for not getting some of the black settlement money. The black settlement money was because only white farmers got some of the initial bailout money, not black farmers. That's how twisted it is. So to the white farmers online whining about loss of business, threats to having their farms shut down and shut off, I say, fare thee well, good sirs. Fare thee well. You got what you got. You get what you get. You don't pitch a fit. You voted for Donald Trump, and you know what? He is working you over because the big conglomerates, some I hear I've read are owned by J.D. Vance or his companies, are about to buy up your land for pennies on the dollar. And you're going to be one picking those blueberries for $11 an hour, 7 days a week for 10 hours a day. Literally, how you like them apples?
What up, MAGA? So it's interesting now that ICE is going out on full force. Farmers are not showing up to work. I think it's 29% in Texas and 40-something% in California, where we get our vegetables, farmers, eggs, all that shit, strawberries, vegetables, where they come from. They're not going to work because they're going to be caught and arrested. But we knew that going in. And the problem is that we didn't come up with a solution before we fixed that problem. And it's interesting that Trump gave a get out of jail card to some 1,600 felons, and for no economical reason whatsoever. And that's the thing. You thought his promise was to help the economy. Letting those guys out gives nothing to society, gives nothing but more fear that criminals are on the street. And what about the people that spoke up against them or testified against these defendants? Are they in danger? So if Trump really was a smart guy, What he could have said is say, hey, I'm going to let you guys out on contingent that you are now going to go work the farms because we need to supplement now. Because the reality is white people don't do that work. And I made videos about this years ago. Thank God, because white people didn't build the train tracks, right? It was the Asians and the Africans. White people don't build America, okay? So you wanted to solve a problem. People voted for you. Now you've created a bigger problem. So your prices for vegetables and groceries are going to go up. It's inevitable. It's inevitable.
I just seen a guy come from Twitter and say that the white farmers was upset because they thought that the black people was going to be out there in the fields. You better get your mama, your daddy, your auntie, your brother, your sister, your uncle, whoever the fuck else, because black people are not fucking coming out there. Are y'all fucking?
You're not gonna believe this. I saw that someone on Twitter were saying, the white farmers on Twitter were saying that when they had all these mass deportations, that they just automatically thought that they were going to send the black people to work their farms. The black farmers who had already lost their farms, and just, other black people, because they needed the help and they wanted the government to send them, I guess, criminals so they can work on their farms, so they can keep their farms. Because, me keeping my farm and not caring about you and giving you low wages, that's just the American dream, right? Stop it. Y'all need to stop this. This is just totally ridiculous. Little Johnny, little Susie, all the ones that you're paying all this money because you've gotten all this government money for free, you need to go get them out of college, which is what they used to do in the olden days. Get them out of college, get them out of their little jobs, and get them working that farm on the weekend. There you go. See, I fixed it for you.
Farmers were promised prosperity by the policies that many thought would favor them, the policies of mass deportation and strict immigration crackdowns. And yet many farmers didn't have a thought that the people who worked in their fields for decades, people who sweat under the sun, suddenly were the ones who are going to be deported, But they expected that black Americans would fill the void. And that expectation, it is ignoring a historical context. It is ignoring generation of struggle and progress. And the hard truth is, black people cannot return to labor that feels like exploitation, when better opportunities exist everywhere. This isn't about resentment. This is about a system that failed to anticipate consequences. Tariffs and trade wars with China have also weakened further the farming industry, as small farms are struggling to stay afloat. All the markets are gone, and the dream of prosperity that was sold has instead brought debt, frustration, and uncertainty. Our farmers who voted for these policies are now facing the reality that labor shortages, financial instability, and policy miscalculations don't simply vanish because of political allegiance. Black Americans have worked tirelessly to break free from cycles of low wages and exploitative labor, They have invested in education, skills, and opportunities that provide dignity and respect. Expecting them to step into labor that resembles historical oppression is not just insensitive, it is unrealistic, I don't know how the farmers are going to recover from these laws, because they are the most heavily impacted by the Trump's policies, and black people will never come to save them, They'll never come to their rescue. Black Americans have made a choice to protect their future and to pursue opportunities that honor their efforts, They are thriving in careers and even businesses. So farmers will have to look for solutions, and those solutions must honor the people who work in their fields, And they should understand that policies, they have real human consequences. Our policies need careful planning, respect for workers, and fair treatment for everybody involved. The reality of these farms is a lesson about America today, that choices have consequences. Don't vote for policies out of racism without understanding the impact it's going to have on your life. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.